Okay, good morning, guys. Let me kick it off here. All right. U.S. stocks had a solid finish on Friday afternoon, finishing almost up 1%, right up there close to the highs, or at the highs where you can see. Quite bullish action on the day, but finishing the week down about 2%. So, it hasn't been the best week in terms of U.S. stock action. Very up and down, one day up, one day down. A lot of volatility, which should be good for us as traders. The U.S. corporate earnings continue to come in mixed. The big GE was the latest one that was a maybe slight miss on outlook because of Europe, but I think I was reading the stats overnight last night, and 74% of U.S. companies have beat on the EPS number, but we have less than 50% that have beat on the revenue number. So we continue to see the same story that we've seen for the past few quarters, maybe even past few years, where we see profit growth at records, but not necessarily revenue growth. So I think it's important to realize where we are with that. All right, Japan, really nice session. The yen hit the lows for the year. I think we'll show that in just a minute. Really important level that we're coming up on here is 100, big psychological level. I fully expect us to break through that level either today or tomorrow, unless there's some sort of event that prevents us from getting there, some sort of news item that prevents us from getting there. China, we were just talking now about how weak the copper price was, and China revising their growth forecasts up a little bit, but then the copper price continues to fade. I mean, it's just absolutely being decimated, really falling when all the other commodities are rising a little bit today. And it's going to be an interesting story to continue to monitor progress on that, and something that we'll follow closely. A lot of corporate action out today, a lot of broker upgrades, a lot of stocks going to ex-div. In the U.S. Later, we've got Halliburton that comes out before the market. Then in early afternoon, also we've got Caterpillar, and then we've got Texas Instruments, which is after the market. So Barlow World might be one to watch today around the time that Caterpillar comes out. Could have quite a steep reaction to those earnings if they're a big beat or a big miss. A lot of stocks going to ex-div today. We've got JD Group at around 15, Old Mutual at 6 pence, and Sanlam at 2 rand 15. So don't get caught up in those in the morning action. All right, we had NTC that was added to UBS's most preferred list. Adcock Ingram that was added to UBS's least preferred list, and then we had Billiton's, which was raised to overweight versus neutral at HSBC. And there's been a lot of broker upgrades coming on some of the mining stocks late the last 2 or 3 days. I think it's strictly because obviously at price they think that they're worth a nibble. Data out today, relatively light. This week's going to be full of data and corporate action, so it's going to be a big week in markets. But today we've got the Chicago Fed activity index, we've got consumer confidence, and then we've got existing home sales. Nothing major out today. All right, let's jump into the MEPs. We got a long list today, so I'll try to make it quick. First one we're going to show is already up there. That's the Japanese yen, which you can see there. We traded to the same level, basically right to highs this morning. We've seen this pattern a lot in the market over the past couple of years, and this has typically led to breakouts in the market. We've very, very rarely failed at and made double tops in the market as of late. So something to watch out for. We really need to break through 99.90. If we break through there, obviously it's right at the 100 level as well. You see, the second we put up 100 level on the yen, I think we'll probably pop through and probably run 100 handles quite quickly. So keep an eye on that. That's a great risk barometer. The fact that we've had some of this selling, we had a bit of a down week in the States, and this thing's continuing to look solid is a really bullish sign. It's continuing to look weak is a really bullish sign. I'm going to look at the spot gold price. I'm going to jump into a 10. In fact, I'm going to jump into a 5-day here. And we talked about this on Friday, and I'd pointed this chart out here where we broke out, or where we had broke out from. And I was looking at it in the morning. I could see it was we're getting ready to snap up here. You know, the pullbacks off of this level just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then finally pushed through. This morning, patterns looking almost identical. We're looking at the same sort of thing. If you see us starting to trade back up to 423, 422, 423, 424, somewhere in that little level, and we start hanging around that number, most likely we'll see the same sort of very steep break through the level which we saw on Friday. So this is short-term little indicator here, but I think I'm watching it right now. We've already creeped up about $1.50 since we've been watching. We're at 21.5, so we're only $2 away. And I think if we pop through that level today, we could get a little bit more of a nice leg up for a good $20-30 probably. All right, we'll stick with the 10-day charts. And we're going to I'm going to run through a couple of these retailers and kind of show them as a group here. Mr. Price, which really was struggling to break above the 223 level. I mean, we got it above it periodically over the past 10 days, but really pushed up against it. Same sort of thing, showed a lot of consolidation there. As we broke through, it just really started to run. Friday, you can see how it just showed a lot of legs, finished at its highs. I'll show you the same sort of thing with Fashini. Fashini's a little bit messier on the 10-day, but we'll look at a 5-day. And you can see here, same sort of thing as we really broke through what was resistance here for the past 5 days. We ripped really hard on Friday, and the second half of the session closed right on the day's highs. Really important. And then the next one I'll show is Trueworths, and you can see here how we kind of put in a bottom. And these are intraday levels as well. They're not just closing levels. So you can see here at about 89.60, 89.70. For the most part, we were actually holding this 90 level on a closing basis, and then we finally got a close below. Traded below there for 1 day, and then yesterday they did about 1 million shares on Friday, at around $90. And you can see there as we also closed up through that one. I think this could be a great play today for Trueworths at the right price. I really like it. We've really, to me, we've broken out above 90 there. We've broken out above a little bit of the short-term downtrend. I think the fact that we're kind of in the same sectors there as the Fashinis and the Mr. Price and the clothing retailer numbers were really the only strong retail numbers that we saw from South Africa the other day. So I really think that Trueworths could be a great little play over the next day or two. I think there's at least $3 in it. I'm going to show Anglos here. We haven't looked at this in a long time. And the reason why I'm going to show this, these charts, obviously, all these mining charts look like hell, but you can see there we broke above this steep downtrend that we have at 220 to close at 225. And I'm not saying I don't expect this thing to really have a huge run, but I wouldn't be surprised to see us have a day cap bounce, maybe up to half of this range, which would put us up to around the high 230s. Don't be surprised to see that. And from there, I would expect us to start to fade again, or either have a little bit of sideways consolidation. So probably actually something to look to short on a nice bounce. But watch it over the next couple of days. If you're in for some short-term opportunities, maybe some short-term money, I wouldn't be surprised to see these these miners have a bit of a dead cat bounce. Sticking with the mining theme, we'll show Goldfields. Also Goldfields, same sort of story, hellish downtrend that we've had. You can see there I'm looking at the US chart. Same sort of downtrend that we had and Anglos, and you can see there we're right there to break above the same really steep downtrend that we have. I don't expect these things to go crazy, but they could easily have a dead cat bounce all the way up to kind of, I wouldn't be surprised to see these things over $70, which is well over 10% higher from these levels. So I think these things, they're nothing you want to get caught up in long term. If you put a long on, you got to keep your stops tight. And make sure that you don't get caught up if these things start another down leg here. All right, Discovery. I want to show Discovery trading back up. This one actually looking potentially a little bit double topish. But like we said earlier, we haven't seen many of these things make double tops. It is definitely a little bit long in the tooth. Breaking out from 67.90 only back at the end of February. We're significantly higher, about 15% higher. So I think this is a critical level of 79.50. If we can't break 79.50, shorten it up a touch there. If we can't break 79.50 over the next session, maybe two, then actually I might look to fade this on a double top, and I would definitely say through the bottom of this range around 75.30, you could possibly short it. So something to watch out for. If we get above that level, we can probably buy in the breakout for about $5. All right, and that's the last of the locals. We get into a couple overseas. We'll look at Aberdeen here in London, sorry, let me back out a little bit here. And you can see here we're coming right down to test major support. This chart looks just like CFR at $4. If we break below $4, I mean, this thing could have a good 40 cents in downside, a nice 10% move to the downside. So keep an eye on this. We could get down to around this 360 level if we break through $4 today on Aberdeen. And then the last one I'm going to show is Aviva. And Aviva has just broken out really to the downside of this little recent pattern. I'll actually jump forward a little bit to have a look at it, maybe a 3-month, and you can see there. If we break this pattern here, I think same sort of thing. I think there could be 20 cents on the downside, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's another 10% in a share like this. So watch those ones closely if you're punting overseas the next couple of days. That's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.